Hello, I'm Kathleen Hall, and this is The Way I See It.
Hello, I'm Ken Pierre, and this is the way I see it.
Well, welcome. This is March, and I thought what we could talk about is this is the time of volatile weather beginning, tornadoes as we're seeing around the country. Again,
Snowpocalypses.
no kidding. And, we had mudslides again yesterday and flooding. So I think it's really important to be prepared for this. And again, I really hate to bring this up, but it's the truth. Whether it's a natural disaster, hurricanes, tornadoes, floods, mudslides, or whether it's bombings, shootings, that we're in an era of disasters in very different ways. So I think it's a great thing to for your family, yourself, as a couple at work, to just optimistically, or what we know is there's less stress when you're prepared for something than when you're surprised. So I think what I wanted to talk a little bit about today was disaster survival. Because when something happens, any one of those things, the first thing that happens within the first 12 hours, 24 hours afterwards, is shock, disbelief. We all act differently because we all have different stress responses. And we all have different experiences of stress or disasters. So some may get numbed. Some may be hypervigilant. Some people may not sleep. And you've seen this because, again, whether it's combat, which is kind of a disaster.
Definitely.
But I think you've also worked through a disaster, a natural disaster, when you were, was it in the Air Force that
When
you
I was
guys?
in the Air Force, I was a first responder to Hurricane Katrina, and I was stationed in Alabama. And from there, I was a first responder, so the smell was crazy. I'll never forget the smell. Just seeing, remember, because New Orleans is
Right.
below sea level, so bodies coming out of.
Right.
So we would clean up all of that, and people would be in shock, disarray,
Right.
and you would have to keep them centered. Like you focus on the mission,
Exactly.
focus
So
on.
you've seen it, the disarray, how they handle it. Some
Like
get
that.
aggressive and angry, some
Yeah.
get passive.
You can see it in the eyes. It's all in your body language.
And that can go on if you don't deal with it within like the first 30 days or whatever. It can go on for years and years and in perpetuity. There are still people walking around, as you well know, like the walking wounded from all that. So what we wanted to talk about today for a few minutes was just what to do, how to remember it. And again, we have a written blog, and I think on the Mindful Living Network, we also have an article on disaster stress if you want to download it. But the first is always remember your breath. Those relaxation skills, the very simple ones, things like Do a Mini, we call it, download an app, things like Calm or Insight Meditation. And for 5 minutes, it kind of even shows you, do that a couple minutes every few hours, maybe, even if it's once a day, it'll help. You can do a guided imagery. You can take a deep breath, walk off by yourself, and imagine that you're at a farm or at the beach or whatever place brings you comfort and groundedness and stability. And don't forget, we have 5 senses. So remember to be very sensual, meaning put on a bracelet that you can hold on to, an old charm bracelet or some kind of something, a shawl, a ring, a necklace, something you can hold on to. Because what we know is when you do touch things with your hands and your fingers, it immediately goes to the brain and does calm you down. Something to hold on to. Music, create a playlist, things that calm you down and relax you. Walk. Make sure that you leave for a few minutes or even an hour or a half hour and walk. Create serotonin, endorphins. Again, keep these as a plan so that when other people, it's just not about you, as you well know, like you just said about Katrina, it's other people falling apart, that if you know these things, you can help them by downloading an free app for them or taking them on a walk. And don't forget staying together. It's very, very important, whether it's a friend, a relative, somebody you meet, like you may have met Ken and Katrina, somebody that you can text with. He may have given you his phone number and say, I think I'm falling apart. That's somebody that can encourage you.
A battle buddy.
Yeah, battle buddy. And remember that food is medicine. Try to eat things like fish and B6s, which are bananas, turkey, tuna, things that actually calm the body down. And finally, I think it's really important, do not forget children and don't forget geriatric people. These people are especially shocked and terrified, and they need to feel safe and secure. And remember, touch them. make sure you physically, hi, it's okay. To a child and an older person, they require that tactile touch.
They do.
Because they're disoriented, just totally blown away. And make sure you give them something to hold on to. Again, whether it's a piece of jewelry, a child, a stuffed animal, a shawl maybe for an older person, and the reassuring, everything's going to be okay. You know, this is just a transition period. We're going to get through this. Help's coming, or is here. Look at the Red Cross. Look at people like Ken. God bless them that were in Katrina. The people are here to help us, and also talk and listen. I mean, it's amazing how when everybody's panicked and their adrenaline's up, their cortisol, we quit listening to each other.
We do.
So yeah, so one of the greatest things I think is even listening. So those are very simple maybe things, but I think, and again, you firsthand experienced every one of these would
All
have
of
been
them.
helpful, the talk I think.
I think the talk and the touch is one of the most fulfilling for people. Like it really, that's what they remember. And never forget, you know, the care and support that you give for people. Like, so you touched on all great points and topics. I really have felt all of those.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, again, please remember, in the world we live in, this isn't being paranoid, it's just the world we live in with
True.
global warming. And if you don't believe in global warming, you may not like me anyway.
We're not going to touch on this.
I happen to be a scientist. I'm married to a scientist, and I birthed a woman scientist. So we're kind of like loaded in the scientific spiritual world, where science, we believe, you know, meets the soul. Yes. So, but in saying that, this catastrophic weather climate could get worse and more challenging.
Definitely.
Shootings, everything that's happening in our world. So let's be proactive, positive, create conversation, but also these tips are invaluable in helping yourself and helping others.
I agree so much. My name is Ken Pierre. This is the way I see it.
And I'm Kathleen Hall. This is the way I see it. Take care of yourself.
You guys have a great weekend.